My name is Ayesha Henderson.
And my name is Kayson Boyd.
Yes, and
We deliver all three of our kids
at
at
JFK.
Hospital, Henderson, New Jersey.
Yes. Okay, so with my firstborn, um, so I had a wonderful pregnancy, a great pregnancy. So let's fast forward to the labor. Okay, so first, all day, I was in labor. I didn't know I was in labor. I had like little water drippage coming down my legs. Then my back was hurting really bad. And come to find out, when we called the hospital, they said those were contractions. So I didn't have contractions in the front of I didn't have, cramping. The whole labor, no cramping. Everything was in my back pain. So that was different too. So I went into, they said you're in labor. I'm like, oh, okay. So the ambulance came, went to the hospital to give birth. So I was in labor. I'm not sure how long. I want to say it was like a Thursday night, like 9 o'clock. And then I remember it was the next day. It was like around 3 p.m. The doctors came in. They said, if you don't dilate, because I was 4 centimeters for a long time. They said, if you don't dilate within the next 4 hours, you're going to have a C-section, because the baby's heart rate was, dropping. So they didn't want to risk anything. So I was like, okay. I was like, well, you can give me a C-section. So I was, excited when I heard the word C-section, not knowing, all the background and, what could possibly happen. And then my mom was there. She was like, no, there's no way. You're not having a C-section. You need to, push this baby out. A C-section is dangerous. And I'm just like, no, I want one. Me thinking, oh, they're going to cut the baby out and that's it. The baby's here in 2 minutes. Yeah, because I was nervous about pushing the baby out vaginally. I'm like, oh, I'm going to rip. I was nervous. I was scared. So when I heard the word C-section, it just raised the light bulb in my head, like, oh, yes, give me that.
Let me have the baby.
So, the doctors left. I was talking to my mom. Of course, I'm 20 years old. I'm not even caring what she's saying. It's what I want. So that's when they came back. I said, I'll have a C-section. So that's when the doctors, they came. They said, we're going to give you the epidural. And I'm like, okay. So they did that whole procedure. And then it was time. They rolled me in. I'm fine. I was calm. I wasn't nervous or anything until I was laying on the bed. All the bright lights, the doctors are moving fast. And then when they had me strapped down, that's when I just started to panic. So yeah, so that happened. So then it was time for them. They put the curtain up, and he was on the side of me.
I peeked over, almost passed out.
He peeked over, and they're like, "Oh no!" I remember them telling him, "No, you can't look."
So about this big, her stomach was wide open.
Yeah,
it was different. Yeah, it was a good experience.
So I remember them cutting me. They were telling me, like the nurse next to me was like explaining to her, they're cutting you now, whatever. So they started cutting me, and then I started feeling them like trying to pull KJ out. And I remember I felt the worst pain when they were pulling him out, and I screamed really loud. And I was telling the doctors, like, I just thought I was dying. I couldn't breathe. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna die before I get to see him. So I kept telling them that, and they're just like, you're okay, you're okay. So all I remember is they put a mask on my face. And then that's when they showed me the baby. I guess they took a picture. And, I felt a little better, but that's all I remember. I woke up in another room. So I'm guessing the mask they put on my face, they knocked me out. because I must have had a panic attack. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, so then I woke up in another room, pooped everywhere. Yeah, had the family right in my face. I opened my eyes. So yeah, that was that. And then the after experience. So, you know, I'm still numb for like a day, maybe a day and a half. So the next day, you know, I'm thinking, oh, this is great. You know, this is good. When that medicine wore off, or they took the thing out of my arm, the IV, it was another ball game. Whew, that was the worst pain ever. The worst.
It was a different experience because I didn't know like the word that she was saying to the doctor. So I don't know if this is gonna be true or not. She's like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna die, or the pain, and this is my other half. So it was kind of a different little experience for me. So, but we got through it.
So moving around, like I wanted to stay in the bed because everywhere they turned me or they told me I got to get up. I'm like, get up? How? You know, I turned over, tried to get out, and it was like, I just stood up and it was like my stomach felt like it was 50 pounds. Now, when I was pregnant, it didn't feel that heavy, but after, it was heavy. Like I tried to lift it up.
Right.
It just felt like it was a lot. So with that on top of the incision, because it was hanging, like this was something I didn't even think of what would have happened. So anyway, they wanted me to walk, so I'm walking in the hallway a little, but I said, I can't do this. This is just unbearable. So that's when they tried to give me the pain meds and stuff, and they gave me children's Motrin because I couldn't swallow pills. So that was fine. I just drunk the cups or whatever. I mean, they helped me probably, but like they didn't tell me, oh, when you go home, this is how you have to do this, or, move this way,
They just told her.
They helped me in the beginning, they swerved my legs around to stand me up, and that was it. And then like maybe the next day or two, I was getting in and out myself. They just say, you gotta get up and you gotta go, walking. Listen, when I got discharged from the hospital, it was like, okay, yeah, I got in the car. I didn't know every single bump my stomach was gonna be like hurting, like every single bump. And then when I got home, we had a lot of stairs, so I had to walk up the steps. And I stayed home until like my first week appointment to go to the doctors. Yeah, I slept on the couch. That was the easiest thing for me. With a bunch of pillows, like I kind of sat up because I didn't want to lay down because it's like, okay, and then I got to, get back up. So that's how that was. But like I said, the worst part was my stomach was heavy. And I have no clue why it was so heavy. Like I felt like, the doctors, they left something in me. So when I went to my first week appointment, I was telling them like, it's something not right with my stomach. Maybe it could have been an infection, but I don't know. Yes, I was having fevers a lot in the hospital, so I couldn't breastfeed right away. So yeah, the fevers were just ongoing. So the baby couldn't get the breast milk, the good part of the breast milk, the colostrum, they said. So, So no, not with the first one. No, they didn't give me anything. And I wish they would have, because maybe it would have helped with the heaviness of my stomach. Because that was major. That was like the worst part. Okay, so with the second one, again, the pregnancy was great. It was perfect. So it wasn't until, so this time they scheduled me a C-section. The first one wasn't scheduled. That was just, it was supposed to be natural. So they scheduled me a C-section, which was great. I'm like, okay, I'm going in again. And, that's it. I'm going to have to deal with that pain. You forget all about the pain. You end up pregnant again, you forget about it until it's time. So this time I'm on an operating table. I'm not as nervous because I know what to look forward to. So I'm, laying there, put the curtains up. This time my aunt is next to me. Latisha, she was next to me. She wanted to come in. He was in the hallway. So, they start the procedure. They start cutting me. So I'm just laying there, patiently waiting. And then next thing you know, the doctors are coming to my, next to me saying, oh, who did your last C-section? And I'm like, oh, JFK. I'm thinking like, the JFK did it. They're like, no, what's the doctor's name? I said, I don't know. I don't know. I said, you guys, I got it done here. So now I'm starting to get nervous. Like, why are they asking me this? Then they're panicking. I remember them calling other doctors to come in. They need help. And I'm like, what's going on? They're like, it's okay. Just, then they kept asking me questions. Did they say anything after your last C-section? Or I'm like, no. I'm like, what's going on? So they're like, we can't get the baby out. I'm thinking like, why would they tell me that? Like, I'm laying here in the middle of my stomach, So basically, I guess they couldn't cut through scar tissue. Yes, they couldn't get through it. So then what they did was they had to cut me another way, which I didn't know until after, but they cut me in a T shape. So basically that way they were able to just cut it easily and pull him out. So that happened. Once I seen him, it was just like, I was relieved. It took longer than expected because he was worried in the hallway. He didn't know why. Normally it take like 6 minutes. It's quick. Why is she still in there? So, we told him after. So that was great. So then, in the recovery room, that's when the doctors were coming in. They were explaining everything to me, what's going in one ear and out the other. I'm young. I'm just, okay. They were saying, if I have another baby, it's going to be risky because I guess the lining now, since they cut me up and down, the more babies I have, the thinner it will get. And it's, it could rupture or open or, it was dangerous. So I'm just like, okay. They also said, I can't have a vaginal birth. They said, you cannot try. You go to another hospital, you cannot. They said, this is serious. No vaginal. They said, you cannot have an emergency C-section. Like, I can't just go into labor and have a C-section. They said it has to be scheduled. So now, fast forward to when I was pregnant with my third child, Ava. Still, I'm not thinking, I'm like, thinking of, I'm not thinking about all the stuff they told me the last time. They had my charts, so they knew everything. And then when they were giving me the ultrasounds and stuff, they were noticing. It was like, wow, I guess it was serious. So they told me with Ava, they said, you can't go full term with her. You have to, I'm thinking, I'm going to have her 2 weeks before my due date. They're going to schedule it. No, that last C-section, they said, you have to have her this month. So she was due May 26th, it was my mom's birthday. They said I had to have her the end of April. So she was going to be a month premature. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. Now I got to tell my job, listen, I got 2 more weeks. I have to have this baby. So, I was nervous about that. So they said basically they didn't want my cut this way to start to like open. So I'm like, I said, whoa. And my stomach, it did get big with my pregnancy. So yeah, so then it was, getting close to the time to have her, my doctor, the whole pregnancy was pressuring me, please sign these papers. You need to get your tubes tied. She said, we do not want you having any more babies. They said, this is really dangerous. It's serious. So I'm like, what about like in 10 years? Can I have another baby in 10 years? Will it be healed enough? She said, maybe, but it's not recommended. So I'm just, I didn't want my tubes tied. Another thing, the doctor, she told me towards the end, she said, I'm not doing the C-section for you. I'm like, why? She said she was scared. So her saying that made me like terrified. Because at this point, now it's what, 2016, I'm on YouTube, watching, Instagram, the little TV shows, being pregnant, all that craziness happening. So I just was like, I don't want to die. Like, I was like so scared. And they were scaring me, saying how dangerous this procedure is going to be. As with my first son, I didn't know anything about a C-section. I'm like, I just want to get cut and have this baby, and that's it. So it was the day I had to have the C-section. My doctor was there talking to me. Other doctors came in, like prepping me, telling me the worst that can happen. And, they were telling me I needed blood transfusion because my iron was so low. Then they were saying, when they cut me, they might have to separate, because I was asking them about the tubes being tied, and they were telling me, no, we need to worry about getting your baby out, not worrying about the tubes and stuff. They said we would have to move your organs from, separate them, move them, and do all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh no, just get her out. That's it. So they prepared me for that. Then I start panicking. The nurses came in trying to calm me down because I was like, I don't want to die. I want to see the baby. So that's when it was time to, have the baby. They rolled me in, and I'm nervous. But this time, like, the doctors were really good. They talked me through the whole thing. They said, all right, we got her out, and that was good. Then they were saying, like, okay, we're going to stitch you up. We're doing this now. So they made me feel good that time. That was the only time I felt, relieved. It was great. Everything they said beforehand, none of that happened. It was perfect. The doctor, he was like an Indian guy. It was perfect. He was great. So no blood transfusions, none of that. It went smooth. So I was like, wow. Like, they were happy. I was happy because I thought, I was thinking the worst. And, she was 5 pounds even. She was 5 pounds. Healthy. She didn't have to stay in the hospital for longer than, she came home with me after the 4 days. So this time it wasn't as bad because I knew what to look for. I knew what was going to happen. It was just the hemorrhoid experience this time. I don't know where that came from, but this time it was like, whew, it was bad. So, the hemorrhoids took over the pain of my C-section cut. And yeah, it just took over. Like, for days I was in pain. And then I started after my 1 week appointment, which is weird. I didn't take any pain meds before my 1 week appointment. But that 1 week I said, it's like I need something because I'm in that much pain. So I would take like a half of a pill because I'm not a pill person, and I get nervous when it comes to pills and medicine, so I just don't take anything, never. So like I would cut it in half and just crush it up, and then that was it. Then I did that for a few days, and he was a big help when it came to the other 2 kids. You know, they were still small. Kai was like 2, KJ was 5 years old.
Changing the diapers, washing butts.
He was
cooking.
doing stuff, taking him to school. Kai stayed home. KJ was I think he was in kindergarten at the time. He cooked. He still does that now. He does all the cooking and stuff. Cleaning, you know, and I was just relaxed in the bed, you know, with the baby and the TV. And that was really it. I was a pro at that point, you know, getting in and out of the bed.
Right.
And again, like, I wasn't taught anything. I just had to learn as I went, you know. And that was it. And that time I got staples. With her, they had to staple me. With the first 2, I got the stitches that dissolved. Oh, that would be hard. Especially if you have other kids, that would be hard. Like, you need someone right there at all times. If I'm calling you, ringing the bell, whatever, like, you need someone. Like, even if your mother came or your aunt, but of course they're not going to be there 24 hours as if, you know, you had a spouse. So that was, you know, a big help. Like, it's really important because even, you know, just knowing how to move, and I feel like any wrong move, something, you know, can happen. Like, when I had, like, the first one, when it was so heavy, they didn't tell me, oh, let's put this around your stomach to lift it up a little bit. No, it was just
cough, laugh, and nothing.
Yeah, the coughing, I couldn't laugh. Then trying to poop, that was another whole thing with her. With my last one, the pooping, they kept giving me laxatives, all different type of stuff, and
I want to know, would you like to have another one?
Yes, I would. No, so you know what? I would like to. I would.
Much of.
You know, I'm scared. I'm like, you know, I would have had, if that experience didn't happen, oh, I would have definitely popped out more. So, and I didn't even tell you about I had a miscarriage before KJ. Yeah, I got pregnant with him like a month later.
Try it again.
Yeah, I had a miscarriage. But why? I don't know. They didn't know. You know, like, I never drunk before, never smoked. I wasn't, you know, they just said it just
a normal thing, stuff happened. And we actually seen it in the toilet.
Yeah, that was
crazy.
Yeah, like the next day after I left the hospital, it's like I coughed or I sneezed and it like just plopped out. It was like a circle.
Probably like an egg.
And I was so scared. I'm so mad I didn't take a picture. Back then we had the flip phones. I was like, what? And I'm like, wow. And I just flushed it. It was like, I guess it was a sack.
Yeah. Sack, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I want to say probably like 2 months, almost 3 months maybe, like 2 months probably. Yeah.